And there it is.
and it becomes the active component. There's a little fisheye. If you hover over on the left there, there's a little fisheye. It says active component.
Exactly.
This is critical. New stuff goes in the active component. And if you don't pay attention, you get stuff where it doesn't belong and it's a mess.
Okay.
It's easy to lose track of it. I do it even sometimes, but rarely. But pay attention to the active component. New stuff goes in there. So now we are ready to go along with our circle and extruding. So you're going to do C for circle and then just hang out.
C for circle. My Z is up. My cursor is there with a little dot that says select a plane or a planar face.
Excellent. So you always get the little arrow pointer cursor, and then you get another little icon to tell you what tool, what you're doing, and then a little instruction. And again, if you move your mouse in a big circle around that center coordinate system, it's going to highlight the different planes.
Okay.
Point being is you don't have to be right over top. Sometimes you can't be right over top because stuff is in the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a big problem along the way, getting at stuff when things are not indirect. All right. So when you get to a point where the bottom, the red, green, XY, that's your ground bottom plane, and then just click right where you are and wait again.
So what I did was I went to try and move my plane by holding down on my cursor. And what I did
No,
was I ended
no,
up with,
no, you don't need to hold down on your cursor. You just glide around. Are
yeah,
you using a mouse or a trackpad or other?
mouse.
Okay. You just need to glide your mouse around. You don't push down. If you push down, it's trying to do some other action.
Yeah. So what it did was it says place center point. I got a handle and a circle set on a plane.
Look at your view cube and make sure it says top.
It says
Okay.
top.
Excellent. So you, by circumstance, you got that. Okay. So now you have a arrow cursor, and now you have a little circle, and now it's telling you something else.
No, this is one of the things that I've screwed up before. This is why I need you so bad. What I have now is my arrow, like a little center dot, and it says place center point. Then
Yes.
I have my axis with a plane, a swooping bar, and another thing.
Okay. Okay. We'll take care of that. Hit escape to put down your hammer, down your tool,
Okay.
and then
And see, I have what's called sketch palette on the side. Yeah.
yes. And here's the problem. So in the sketch palette on the side at the very bottom, you do not want 3D sketch checked.
Okay.
Uncheck 3D sketch.
Okay. And then right finish sketch.
Right. This will not take effect until you say finish. So now say finish sketch.
Okay.
Now over in the left, we're going to play with some more settings because sometimes Fusion is doing things to try and help you, but they just confuse you if you don't know what's happening, and
Uh-huh.
they're not necessarily the best way. So go over to the left. This is your browser tree, by the way. It says browser at the top,
Okay.
and you have a component called part one. And the very first little triangle icon, if you click that, it opens it up.
Drop it down. Origin
Then
is
if you go further down, you have another container folder called sketches. Hit its triangle.
okay.
That eyeball for you is probably off.
For sketches, it's on. For origin, it's off.
Okay, not yet. We haven't done it. Okay, good. So now you see sketch one. By default, it named it.
Yeah.
So hover over that, find the little icon with the little red lock and the little square. And
Okay.
at that place, double click to go edit it.
Okay. And it brought up sketch palette on the other side.
Yep. And now you no longer have that big gizmo in the center of your screen.
Yeah.
So in general, you're making sketches on a 2D plane and you're bringing them into the third dimension,
Okay.
extrude or something. If you're making a dune buggy, you might need to make a three-dimensional curve for the tubing of your dune buggy. So there are cases where you want to be in the 3D sketch mode, but you don't want to be in there when you're not doing that and accidentally make geometry off plane that you didn't intend to do.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you understand the interface and you're in the right mode, you're in the right situation so that it does what you want and doesn't do things that you don't want.
So you know what? Now I'm back to my instead of my Z plane being up when I'm looking at top like yours. Wait,
Yep,
no, it's the same. It's the same.
you're good. The bottom left is the Z, blue Z at the cube.
Yeah, that's
And
we're right.
cool, excellent. So now you're in here. Hit C for circle. And it says place center of the point. Let's see something on your side. Over here in the sketch palette, near the top, I turn off this one called snap. Make sure that one is off.
Snap off.
Snap. Yeah,
and
snap.
Finish.
So snap, just that one. Just turn that one off. So snap is more like a 2D CAD where you have your grid every millimeter, every eighth of an inch or whatever, and you're explicitly starting at that grid point and going that far. That's in 2D CAD. In 3D CAD, you're just getting entities in there and near each other, and then you're putting constraints and dimensions to form the final result.
Okay.
So the thinking, the workflow is totally different. In 2D CAD, you're doing things on the grid exactly where you want them and exactly the size and the angle and whatnot. In 3D CAD, you're just getting entities there, and then you're establishing the relationships and dimensions and finally getting the end result.
Okay.
So we've turned off the snap.
I turned off snap and hit. I should hit finish sketch, correct?
Nope. We just changed that. If
Okay.
you hover, you should still have the circle asking you to place the center point.
I do.
All right, down to the left here somewhere. We're gonna.
What I've lost though is my grid.
That's over here in the sketch palette. There is a checkbox for sketch grid.
.3D sketch.
It's near the top. It's near the top of the options. Line type, look at, and then sketch grid right above the snap.
Okay, it's checked.
Okay, let's do another one. Down at the bottom center of your screen, there's a little toolbar, which is your navigation and display toolbar.
Okay.
The second half is your display, and that middle icon that looks like a grid, open that one up with its little triangle. And I don't think you need, I don't know why,
Snaps.
I don't know why you're not seeing it. There's two places where you get a grid. When you're outside of the sketch and when you're inside the sketch. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters because mine is grayed out. When I go there, it says layout grid, but it's gray. I can't select it.
So if I go to grid settings, it says adaptive, fixed, reference numbers.
Up at the top, you should have layout grid. But you can't get at it because it's grayed out. This is not what we want to do. So I don't know why you have sketch grid on. You're here. Do this. Come up to your view cube, hover over your view cube.
Okay.
And appearing at the top left is a little home icon. You're going to click on the little home.
Okay.
And if you look at your grid,
Get back.
okay, good. If you look at your cube, if you hover, don't click, but if you hover, you can hover on the words for the planes, but you can hover on the edges and you can hover on the corners.
Yeah.
That home view is that front corner. See how it's kind of gray?
Yeah.
You hover. That is the home view. Go back to your top view. Click on the word top.
Okay. And click
Can you see the grid now?
Yeah.
Okay. You might have been zoomed out for some reason.
Okay.
I wasn't sure, or zoomed in or something. When you hit the home, it automatically fits stuff on the screen.
Okay.
So I think that's what we did. Okay. So you make sure that you have C for circle and it's waiting, telling you to place the center. We're going to come down to the lower left here somewhere. click and let go, glide, and click and let go.
Now, this is so bizarre. I mean, because my orientation was different than yours when I had the grid come up. When I go
Yep.
to top view like yours, I'm spun. My top view, instead of reading it regularly, is inverted, reading it vertically.
Okay, do this. You've twisted yourself around. Go back up. We'll learn about the view cube. Go back up to the view cube and hover.
Okay.
And then up to the right, you will see two little orbit.
Yeah.
Click those and it will spin it around for you.
Okay, so now it takes me back to top, but I lose the grid.
I'm going to stop sharing and you are going to start sharing. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. This is normal. Everything I learned I didn't know before and
This is exactly
confusing.
the stuff that, the new guy, when he starts, he's like, what the hell am I doing? Your screen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is why I'm trying to give you what you don't get in the point and clicks and you get lost. So go ahead and share your screen.
I should be sharing now.
All right, it might take a moment for it to come up. Okay, I'm seeing it now. Go ahead and finish the sketch for the moment. And over in the browser tree on the left, on that little icon with the red lock, you can double click it to bring up the sketch, edit the sketch. Yeah, because you made it on the front plane. See how it says front at the cube at the top?
Okay.
Because when we were doing that thing circling, you didn't quite understand what's happening and you clicked and dragged instead of clicked, you inadvertently chose the front plane and not the ground plane.
Okay.
So finish that sketch.
So finish.
Yep, finish the sketch. Go back to your tree and click on that icon once to select that item.
Stop.
Back with the little red lock. It says sketch one.
Yeah.
You click there to select it. Hit delete or backspace on your keyboard. Go home, get a home view. Over on your cube. There you go. Yep. When I say go home, that's exactly it. Do C for circle. And do not click your mouse. Just orbit it. Just glide it around in a circle.
You say to me, George, if you click the mouse, I break your finger.
No, it's just it's a thing we do often, and we just assume that that's what we need to do, but it's not the case. Sometimes you just need to hover it. Other times you need to click it.
Okay.
So right now you just hover it and make a circle around that gizmo in the middle, and those planes will light up different. Just move your mouse around without clicking and go all the way around. See how they're changing?
Uh-huh.
And when the bottom one, the red and green, that's your bottom plane. That's the one you want to click when you get now. Right there, click.
Click.
Yep. Now look at your cube at the top right.
Says top.
And you see your grid.
Uh-huh.
And you might be showing your coordinate system that you don't necessarily need to see.
Yeah,
Over in the
numbers. Not in numbers.
On the tree on the left, you have a folder mislabeled origin. You can hide that one. That's your coordinate system folder. There you go. And it's still waiting for you to make a circle, right?
It says place center point.
So right there's good. Click and let go. Move your mouse up and to the right. Just glide it up and to the right. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Click and let go. Now hit E for extrude. And it takes you automatically out of the sketch mode and into the extrude box.
Okay.
Without a lot of that extra clicking that I was talking about that you're avoiding. And
Okay.
now, in a lot of cases, I like to go downward. So type -10 and hit enter. No. Don't click in there.
Okay.
Hit cancel. Hit cancel. Hit cancel.
Escape.
You're making more. Yeah, escape. You're making more work for yourself. Hit E for extrude
E for
and
extrude.
stop. Right by your cursor is a little tear off, and it's already highlighted, waiting for you to type.
So just write -10.
That's right. -10, enter. There you go. So when you go into a dialogue, there's typically going to be an active field,
Okay.
and it's going to already be highlighted in blue, waiting for you to type.
Okay.
So if you click in there, you're making more work for yourself.
Okay.
Okay, very well. And so now you can go ahead. Now we're going to get the preferences. Now, when you look in the tree, your sketch one, the eyeball got turned off automatically for you.
Okay.
We don't want that. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen, and then we're going to go into our preferences and take care of that.
Okay.
That's one of those things where it's trying to help you, but I don't think it is.
Okay.
All right. Now we're back. Now you should be seeing my fusion.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to get to where you are. And I'm going to go like this, there. So we're going to go up to our preferences again. Your little silhouette.
Okay.
And
Preferences.
here. Now, over in the top left, it says general. We're
Okay.
going to go down a couple to design. Click on design.
Okay.
And the culprit that we want to turn off is near the middle. It says auto hide sketch on feature creation. Auto hide sketch. It's in the middle of this list of checkboxes under design.
Under design. Preference.
Auto hide. Look for auto hide.
For some reason, when I hit design, it says preferences controlling general UI behavior. Yours says controlling general design behavior. So why am I? Oh,
Controlling
okay. I
general.
went to the arrow one. Okay, I got it.
Cool. So near the middle of these checkboxes, one says auto hide sketch on feature creation. You see that one?
Uncheck.
Turn it off. Yeah, uncheck. So what that is trying to help you, but it's not really helping, and there's other ways to deal with it.
Okay.
That says when you apply a feature like extrude, automatically turn the eyeball visibility off on the sketch, thinking that you're done with the sketch.
Okay.
But you're not always done with the sketch.
Sure.
So we don't like that. Let's change some other things while we're in here. Go up to the top and turn off auto project edges on reference. That first checkbox, turn that one off. It's not already.
It's already off.
And then go to.
You have auto project geometry off, and I have it on.
Turn that one off. You're going to make yours look like mine.
Okay.
And then the last three should be on.
Newer arrange algorithms and entire sketch at first dimension. Okay.
Cool. We're going to do one more preference before we get out of here.
Okay.
And it's in a different section under design on the left. We have assemblies. We're going to click on assemblies.
Okay.
And you're going to turn off just this first one. Turn off this first one.
Okay.
And then hit enter. Don't have to do apply, nothing. Just hit enter on your keyboard.
Okay.
All right. So we'll discuss what those were when we encounter them. So right now, you want to turn back the eyeball for sketch one.
Okay. So turn and see now mine has become sketch 2 because I deleted sketch 1, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. So we're good. So we are going to step back and look at some stuff. Here's a nice quick one. With your middle mouse button over here in nowhere space, double click your middle mouse button. And that's going to fit everything visible into the screen.
So
You
do,
can double click your middle mouse.
when you say my middle mouse, you're
That
talking.
the scroller, yeah, the roller wheel.
Yeah.
Push down, double click it.
Okay, I double clicked it. Now it looks like everything's gone. Looks like I have
Uh,
one long
hold the try
line.
th- try this. I'll hold the Alt key and double click. Regular double click. Alt double click.
Okay, so now I have, it looks like I have on my regular plane line centered at the Z, I have one um black line. It's like my dimensional character of the circle's gone. It's just a long line.
Uh, go up to your cube and go home. Get a home view.
And on the home view, that's what's in the grid.
You don't see your disk that you made?
No.
Go ahead and share your screen. Let me undo mine here. All right, go ahead and share your screen, George. We'll figure it out.
Okay, where's your screen?
Yep. And on Windows, it's Alt S when you're in the Zoom app. All your hotkeys, you have to be in the app for them to apply. All right, I'm looking at it now. There. Open up on the left, open up your bodies folder inside the part one, the little triangle. Yep, open it up. There is the body. Right click on the word right there. And at the very bottom, say find in window, the very bottom. Oh, are you in millimeters or inches? Do you know? Did you change it to inches?
I think I'm in millimeters.
We can tell on the tree near the top, there's a little gear and it says document settings. We're going to open that, the top of the tree on the left,
The tree on the left.
the browser tree. Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Near the top, there's a thing that says document settings, just down. Open that up with the triangle.
units, millimeters.
Okay. Let us edit the extrude you made. You might have extruded it like 1,000 by accident or something weird.
Okay, so we'll open
Double you
edit.
you don't have to right click it, you just double click it. It's quicker.
I double click it, I get nothing. So I'm off of it.
Try again. It's finicky. And it can't be selected at the same time. And if that doesn't, there you go. How far down did you go? -10?
At -10.
Cancel out of there. Edit your sketch. And again, you just have to double click the icon
Okay.
and make sure it's not selected though. It'll be different if that is selected. Click away. Yep, you can do it there as well. There you go. And where is the circle? You can scroll her out, zoom in and out. Is there a circle in there? What happened to the? Hit the home, go home on your view cube. All right, click once on the outer perimeter of that circle. Look at the bottom right of your screen. There's a data info area at the very bottom right.
It says 0.027, like it's tiny.
So that's our problem. Let's do something we're kind of out of order, but that's all right. So we are going to dimension it, and you can select and then dimension, or you can grab dimension and then select. There's any order that you can do it in. Right now you have it selected, right? It's highlighted in extra blue. Yep. So hit D for dimension and type 100. Yep, click on it
It's okay.
and then drag away, just move away and click again and let go. Now type 100, enter. And now finish the sketch. You had a very,
Oh, I
very,
had a
very,
pinpoint.
very small, yep, you had a very small diameter hair. You had a little hair. You had a little hair
How
going
did I
down
get it down? How could I have done that?
because remember how you had the scale at which when you went into the sketch,
Uh-huh.
for some reason was very small. And when you made that circle, it was at a very small scale. It had not properly um, sized itself, centered itself. I'm not sure how that happened.
Okay.
It shouldn't happen in the future.
So I know that, we're looking for the corrective action, but in reality, if that had happened to you, what would you do? And just deleted the sketch and start again?
No. In general, you should first find a way to edit the settings before you go deleting things. Because
Okay.
you've already spent time making the thing and other things might depend on it.
Yeah, okay.
And you've already done settings and spent time and effort doing that.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to delete something, but that's not your first course of action.
Okay.
All right. So let us, you can stop sharing there, then I'll start sharing. This is the way the game goes, by the way. This is normal.
I get it. I get it. I mean, I'm so grateful for this.
Cool.
Well, I almost don't feel like I'm crazy now,
Well, you're not crazy for this reason. I don't know otherwise. All right. So very well. Go ahead and save what you got. Control S, enter.
So my control S, I'm not getting my save box to pop up.
Well, look at the very top and see if you have unsaved changes. There'll be that little star if there are. If not, you don't have any to save.
I do. I have the little asterisk. Says
okay. Then click it. Click in nowhere space to make sure you have focus in the main interface there and do Control S.
Okay, now it's gone. Now I've hit Control S like 3 or 4 times.
You might have been in another mode if you're in the middle of a feature or some other place, some other focus. It might not recognize it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the weird thing. This is the thing you have to pay attention to. In the interface, you're going to have a number of controls, icons, text, places you can click. Depending on what's active, what mode you're in, what the situation is, your clicking is going to have different results.
Okay.
And we'll show that over in the tree shortly here. You get a lot of functionality, but depending on where you are, whether you left click or right click, and whether that item is selected or not, all of those things in combination lead to different results.
Okay.
So you get a lot of power there, but if you don't understand that system, you're clicking blindly and it's not doing what you want it to do. So backing up to something even more fundamental. The biggest problem with my own learning and other people posting on the Facebook, if you have an incorrect and or incomplete understanding of things, your intuition, your expectation, your intention is not always going to match the reality because you didn't understand it well enough to make a valid assessment.
Gotcha.
And too many people will say, why is this program sucks? Why is this sketch so slow? It's just such a simple sketch. When in fact, they made a computationally expensive sketch without realizing it because they didn't understand things properly. So whenever something's not working up to my expectation, intuition, intention, I point the finger at myself first and say, what don't I understand yet? What do I need to bring my level of understanding adequately up to being correct, accurate, and complete enough that things work the way I want them to?
Gotcha.
So that's what we're working toward here. And just knowing that that is a situation, that's a thing, it gets you ahead of the game. it's kind of a meta thinking. It's called thinking about thinking.
Uh-huh.
How do I think about things? That is this conceptual, very powerful, general way of thinking that allows you to do. So I succeed where many people don't, but not because they can't. It's because they don't have the way of thinking that allows them to get to those. And we'll be harping on this idea of conceptual thinking and how it's important often how you think and not what you think.
Okay.
I mean, what you think is important, obviously, when you have to do the actions, but how you think is fundamentally more powerful, more important. Okay, so you now have your saved file. It's got a circle that got extruded, and we did it in the fast way, the efficient way. And then we had to go in and give yours a dimension that mine doesn't. We'll get back to that. So now we're going to step way back and take a look at some fundamental things when I talked about holistically, 3D CAD specifically as a system and what the things are and specifically what they are. So we have discovered several things here. We have three main important areas in the interface that work together. In the center is our viewport, graphical viewport, sometimes called the canvas in Fusion, but this is our main graphic area. Over on the left, we have our browser tree. This can be looked at as our design tree. It's got the different aspects, elements of our design. And then down at the bottom here, we have a timeline. And we have actions lined up in time as we do them. And these three areas all work together. We want to think of them as a team. If I find something in one area, it can point me to another area.
Okay.
Like when you said right click on it and said find in window, it brought it to focus in the window. But I can also, you don't have to do this, I can also right click here and say find in browser. And now it just highlighted it over here in the browser for me.
Okay.
And if I'm down here and I right click, I can say find in window. Or I can right click and say find in browser. So they work together as a triangle, as a team.
Okay.
And so this is super important for being efficient in your navigation of things. Sometimes it's easier to visually find it and click on it. Other times it's easier to find it over here in the tree.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on the situation. When somebody posts and says, how do I do XYZ? The answer almost always starts with, it depends. You need to know more about the intent and the use case to give the most appropriate answer.
Okay.
Certain things are going to be more appropriate in a situation than another situation. And so the user interface, and this I send you later, will have this in it, the documentation. So anyhow, the point is we have our viewport, our tree, and our timeline, and they work as a team. It's a triangle because you can always point to the other place.
Okay.
And this is going to allow you to get around and edit stuff and do what you need to do. The other thing that we're going to look at here is we have 5 major aspects that make up 3D CAD. And we've discovered 4 of them. Number 1, it's sketch-based. In general, you make 2D sketches on a plane and you bring them into the 3rd dimension. So it's sketch-based. Then we added a feature, which was our extrude. So it's feature-based. Then we see down in the timeline, it records those. That's time-based. And then the other one, we haven't done the other ones yet because we're kind of going out of order as we fix things along the way. So we have sketch-based, feature-based, and time-based. Oh, yeah. And you made a number 100. That is a parameter. So because you had to go in and make it big enough when we were troubleshooting, you made a parameter. The 5th and final one that we'll do next are constraints inside your sketch, constraints. And those constraints actually work together with your dimensions. So this is a thing that they don't generally teach you, but I consider the constraints and the dimensions working together to define the geometry. in
Okay.
your sketches. I call them definitions. That's my word. So the viewport, the tree, and the timeline work together as a trio. And inside a sketch, the constraints and the dimensions work together to define the geometry. That's your
Okay.
definitions. And we haven't done the constraints yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Cool. So now I'm going to get, and you're going to get to edit that sketch. Now, your timeline can get busy and your tree can get busy, and it might be hard to find something. But I can locate it visually. If I hover over, you'll see that the circle perimeter highlights blue.
Mm-hmm.
If you right click right there, down midway down, it says edit sketch. We're going to click edit sketch. And now we're in the sketch mode.
Okay.
We have our palette and we have our big finish button. So we know we're in the sketch mode.
Okay. So I got minor differences. Just, and I have a feeling down at the bottom of the history, you have a red bar ahead above the sketch.
Yep.
And it up at part
Yep.
1.1, which would be what our component, you have a red bar. I don't
Yep.
have those.
We'll get to those.
Okay.
Those relate to the components. You can color code your components. There's a little switch to toggle it. And right now it's not critical because we only have one component.
Okay.
So
I wanted to,
yes.
I'm showing that level of observance of the,
Yes. Anytime you see something that you don't know, don't recognize, or whatever, go ahead and point it out.
okay.
Because you don't know what you don't know, and it might be important or it might not at this point. Cool. So,
Okay. So the thing I have on mine is I've opened it up. I have like a dimensional arrow with a center point, and then the line still coming out. A line coming out from the, oh, it just gives me the dimension. So
yeah.
Now yours is there.
Yeah. Yeah. You can click and drag on the number 100. This is just your leader.
Okay.
It's not actually part of your geometry. It's part of the indication of your dimension.
Okay.
All right. There we go. So let me click away. There we go. If we look over in our tree on the left and we look at sketch 1, there's a little pencil icon. That means it's in edit. It can be changed.
Okay.
Now, our goal ultimately at some point in our design is to lock our sketches down so we can't inadvertently mess them up.
Okay.
We also want to lock them down and put constraints and dimensions to show our design intent. I want this circle to be diameter 100. I want this circle always to be in this particular location or something.
Okay.
So you may hear they say, make a fully constrained sketch, quote unquote, fully constrained. And it's important ultimately. But the one warning I will give you is if somebody says always do this or never do that, don't listen to them. That's not the fullest picture. You have to know the rule to know when to break it, right? So they tell you, oh, always make a fully constrained sketch. You'll hear that.
Okay.
But they don't tell you why. And the why is you want to show your design intent. And at some point in the design, you want to lock things down. But maybe earlier in the design, you don't want to lock everything down because you want to have some freedom to play with things.
Okay.
So if they say always or never, don't listen to them or don't take it as gospel because there might be a reason you would do something different.
Okay.
It's my favorite joke is the anecdote. The woman growing up, her mother at Thanksgiving would use 2 pans for her turkey. And so the kid, she did that with her family. And her mother was there and said, why are you using 2 pans? And she said, well, you always did that. And she said, yeah, I didn't have one pan big enough. Right. So you want to understand why somebody is doing something so that you don't repeat it blindly and not be doing things optimally. All right. Enough of that. So ultimately, our geometry is going to go from blue to black successively as things get locked down.
Okay.
So you're going to be successively removing freedom, degrees of freedom,
Hmm.
and things are going to start to turn black. And at some point, everything is locked down, and we will get a little red lock instead of this little pencil. We'll get a little red lock.
Okay.
That's going to be one of our indicators. So we now have a dimension on the circle, so we can't change its diameter. But you can go ahead and click the circumference and you can move it around. So it still has some freedom.
Okay.
It's not fully constrained. If I hover over the center point, I can also click and move it. But I can't change the diameter. We've set that
Okay.
with the dimension. So we're going to add constraints. Those constraints are up here at the top center where it says constraints. You got a bunch of icons. And if you open it up, you've got them as well here.
Okay.
Now, there's a couple ways to do these. One is to just click and drag stuff and let Fusion infer which of those makes sense, which is often the correct, but not always. Or we can do it in a more explicit way. So let's look at the click and drag inferred way. Go ahead and click on the center point and slowly drag it close to the center point of the sketch. And when it finds it, it will make a little blue box.
Mm-hmm.
And let go, and it automatically applies that little constraint down to the left, that little L looking thing.
Okay.
Click to select it, and look at the very bottom right of your screen. It says coincident constraint. You might
So
have to move your zoom.
I come over.
The
Oh,
very,
the
the
constraint.
very coincident constraint. And that little icon looks a lot like the same icon up here in the toolbar, coincident.
Okay.
So it inferred that that center point of the circle found the center origin point of the sketch, and it indicated it by a little blue square.
Gotcha.
It could be a blue X or a blue something else if it found something else.
Okay.
But you get a little blue indicator, and it automatically applied it, and the circle went from blue to black. And if we look over in our tree, we got our little red lock.
Yep.
So now, if you get rid of your tool, now if you try to drag it, it won't go anywhere. It's fully constrained. It's locked down.
Okay.
All the degrees of freedom have been used up between our constraints and our dimensions as a team, defining our geometry, our definitions.
Okay.
And that's the goal. It's like in traditional drafting, you send a drawing to the shop.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't fully specified everything, they don't know what to do. Some things are ambiguous. They're going to send it back to you and say, this is not fully specified. I don't know exactly what you mean here.
Uh-huh.
Same idea with a fully constrained sketch.
So
We're
how
going
do
to take
I remove the constraint?
Yep. So if you hover over there, you click once on it and hit delete or backspace, and it will get rid of it. And now the circle's blue again.
So I have a constraint showing. You just
Hover over, click once to select it, and then hit your delete or your backspace. I'll just call it delete. And it should go away.
so then if I want to,
And now it's blue. Now you can move your circle again.
yeah, so I move my circle, I move it back.
Yep.
And
There you go.
okay, so if I move it back, how do I
So that's the first way. We're just showing you the first way to hit that constraint.
okay.
Fusion is going to try to infer what is the appropriate constraint when you move stuff around.
Okay.
It's tracking it in real time all the time when you're going.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, another way is to select the tool constraint and select the entities,
Okay.
or select the entities first and then select the tool. Either way.
Okay.
We're going to do it the second way because it's going to help us somewhat. So go hover over the center point in your circle and click once. And at the bottom right, it should say sketch point.
Okay, I still have my constraint showing, so I gotta click on that and then
You
delete.
gotta, yeah, delete the constraint and move us back off to the lower left here somewhere. Like that. So did you successfully remove the coincident constraint?
No, my constraint still shows.
If you hover over it, it will change color a little bit, get a little bluer.
My sketch has a locked red constraint on it, but
Yep.
it's like I'm escape. My I have sketch geometry locked on my cursor.
If you hover over the center point of the circle, which is locked to the center point of the sketch, if you just hover there, down to the left, you should get that little icon.
Huh. So if I pull off and I go to nowhere and try and clear my mouse.
Yep.
Or I hit escape. Wait,
Yep.
I hit escape. Okay, so now it's back. And my constraints there. So I need to and click on the constraint and delete it.
That's right.
Okay. Then come
Cool.
off, grab it, and move my piece away again. I did that.
That's right. Perfect. All right.
You know what
now
is that this being cloud-based, I got a fly me to the moon gamer computer. And I think it's the lag time.
No, it's not. This is the lack of understanding. Fusion is cloud enabled.
Okay.
Which is different than cloud based. The code is running locally on your computer. It's not.
Okay.
It's not doing it in the cloud. Only when you do your data panel and some other parts of the program we're not in is it actually doing any computation in the cloud.
Oh, okay.
So it's not. So there are apps that you go on the browser and it runs in the browser. That's cloud based. That's a web client. That's an app running in the cloud. This is not that. The code is running locally, so there's no delay. There's no delay there. There can be issues that will make for delays, but that's not one of them. And also you're clicking and gliding versus clicking and dragging and clicking and letting go. These take some time until you figure them out. At the early stage, like riding a bike, you're not so good at it. Once you learn how the thing works, then it's second nature after a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you're now back here. So we are going to click on the center point to select the center sketch point of that circle. And in the lower right, we confirm it says sketch point.
Okay.
Now we're going to add to that selection. You're going to hold the shift key. And in the center of your sketch, that's your little origin point where the red and green, click and let go to add that to the selection.
Okay, so now it says 2 sketch points.
Perfect. Now it's 2. Now don't click, but look up under the constraints at the top here. Now some of them are not active. They've been grayed out because they don't make any sense.
Okay.
So by pre-selecting, it gives Fusion some context to determine which things make sense and which don't.
Okay.
But easier yet, if you just right-click somewhere here, only those items at the bottom are going to be listed that make any sense.
Okay.
Click on coincident. And now we've accomplished the same thing as we did when we did a drag and found the center.
And I'm right in the same place with a red lock on sketch 2.
That's right.
My sketch, your sketch 1.
Yep. Do Control Z, undo that.